Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. I'm getting back to the story that was released by Coinpost here in Japan, and it's about the presentation that Mr. Kitao of SBI Holdings gave at the FinSum Summit in Tokyo, which ended on Friday. It was a lot to chew, but I'm going to do a summary for you. The biggest I think part that I was most interested in because there was a lot of new information, and that's about the issuance of the new S coin. But let's just go quickly from the beginning. He introduces to his audience that blockchain will also be used in a lot of non-financial industries like real estate, retail, medical, distribution, manufacturing, legal, and administrative. He then goes on to talk about expanding actual demand of virtual currency. So he sees that there is great importance of bringing the institutional investor to the space. And he has created a fund, a virtual currency fund, that is called the SBI Coventure Asset Management. And it is actually with somebody that he signed a collaboration agreement with from New York, the Coventure Holding Company, back in September 2017. They are a boutique U.S. asset management company. And I think this is the development of what he believes is going to be attractive to those institutional investors. And then he talks about the SBI blockchain businesses will be accelerated by this recent settlement of Ripple and R3. So he said that this litigation that took place and the solving of it really matters. SBI has a stake in both. Ripple, right now, he has a 20% share in Ripple USA, and then, of course, he has the 60% share of the SBI Ripple Asia. And for R3, he has become the largest outside shareholder, and he really sees that R3, in combination with promoting the use of Corda, is going to be very instrumental in his vision. So the Corda is an open source distributed ledger. It's a little bit unique. It doesn't do it in a group or a block, but it has a unique method from point to point. So yeah, that's I think R3 is really an important component to his overall vision. Clear Markets, okay, talks about he currently has a 12% stake, and it'll soon be 20%. They are going to launch the swap trading of virtual currencies. So these swaps are derivatives, and the derivatives are basically the two parties exchange financial instruments, and those instruments could be foreign currency. It could be also, one of the most common are interest rates. So these derivatives have a plan to be executed, and that too is like absolutely going to be instrumental for bringing larger investors to the space. And then he talks about joint venture that he did with Everspin. Everspin is a company out of Korea, and they specialize in security technology for mobile. And then he gets into this S coin. So the issuance of S coin, it's specialized for local governments, companies, and financial institutions here. It's a place or a platform that they can easily issue their own coin. So think about this. The Japanese government has set a goal. They want to be 40% cashless as a society by 2027. And in doing that, if he can create this platform using the S coin, which is totally different than Ripple. Ripple is a B2B platform, and this is a B2C, business to consumer or enterprise to consumer platform that will happen with working with a company called Orb. And Orb is also a company that SBI has invested in. So it will be pegged to the yen, very much like Tether. So the rate is set with the Japanese yen, which makes the exchange constant. And if you can imagine, it was given as an example by somebody else. In order to support the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, they want to be able to offer services and goods in a cashless method at tourist spots. So if you can think, this electronic money is on a prepaid basis for settlement. And they will use this platform that he's creating, which will allow local governments and companies to participate without making large investments. So from October 2018, the SBI employees are actually going to be testing this within their headquarters, which will have stores set up, bars and restaurants, to accept the S-Coin to test. So I think that will be the first closed environment that they are going to test in before they roll it out. So it's a totally new way to help Japan become a cashless society, and also provide the platform for local governments to participate without having to start from scratch. I did find a very interesting article on the Ledger Insights. This site is interesting. It's a treasure trove of articles that are not getting aggregated on those news sites. So you're going to find a lot of stories that don't hit mainstream are on here. So 3 days ago, there's an article, Japanese SBI Holdings trials blockchain-based virtual currency. So you can read this. The SBI Holdings, Orb, and Glory Corporation announced that they would test this new S-Coin blockchain platform for smartphone transactions. SBI is a Japanese financial services group, which began as SoftBank investment, but ceased being a SoftBank subsidiary in 2005. Anyway, the group first announced the plans for this S-Coin as a settlement coin a year ago, and it has continued to move forward. So the experiment will involve employees using S-Coin at various bars and restaurants in the complex where SBI is headquartered, and staff will pay exclusively using their smartphones. Okay, so I will put this also in the comment section below. And it does mention here how SBI is a very active participant in the blockchain sector, and it has an investment in R3 and a joint venture with Ripple in the form of an SBI Ripple Asia. And so they talk a little bit about the expected launch of the mobile payment application called MoneyTap. So that, I think Mr. Kitao is really just embracing the entire virtual currency blockchain like nobody else is doing. It's really, I'm very interested in following this story. And on that same Ledger Insights, about 9 hours ago, Goldman backs blockchain payments venture Veem. Well, what is interesting on this is that back on March 9th, 2017, SBI also made an investment in Veem. They are a company that is a unique network. Again, that was what was so attractive to Mr. Kitao. They work with emerging countries with micro payments for people who do not have bank accounts. And they're based in San Francisco, and they use, this is where they are a little different. They use a multi-rail approach. So they look at the best way depending on the source and destination. So I want to take a look at this here behind the scenes. So behind the scenes, it mainly uses cryptocurrencies for the transfers, though sometimes SWIFT is used. So as Veem transparently integrates with the banking system, which by the way, they have 80,000 customers, transactions are seamless for end users. And this is reminiscent of CirclePay's person-to-person payments. So according to Forbes, the cryptocurrency Veem uses Bitcoin. And undoubtedly they used Bitcoin in the early days, but as of last year, it seems they were using Ripple's XRP, though not necessarily exclusively. So I think this is interesting. Yeah, it just gets so interesting as to who the players and supporters of these technologies are. It's really becoming very interwoven. Okay, I want to look at this article here because it interests me. Ripple leads coalition to hire lobby firm to promote friendly crypto policies. Well, I'm not surprised about that, and I think it's probably about time. They are getting to the point in terms of size that they can benefit from having a group like Kline Johnson Group represent them on Capitol Hill. So what I was interested in is to see exactly who this Kline Johnson Group is. They call themselves a bipartisan lobbying group. So before I go take a look at that group, I want to explain that Ripple Labs is leading this, and also involved is Coil, Hard Yaka. Hard Yaka is an investment group that have, they have invested in things like Coinbase and GateHub, Ripple, of course, Bitso, Uphold. They had a fantastic, successful exit on Twitter. And they also believe in virtual currencies, the three of which are BTC, XRP, and Ethereum. And then the fourth entity in this group that the Kline Johnson Group will represent is Polysign. Polysign specializes in digital asset custody. It has the co-founder of Ripple involved, Arthur Brito, along with David Schwartz. So it's just, that's who this group is going to represent when they are talking to people in Washington, D.C. So this bipartisan strategic group is actually led by two people, and that is Matthew Johnson here on the left and Israel Kline. Sorry, Israel, I'm covering you up there, on the right. These guys are big hitters. They're veterans. Mr. Johnson is from Houston, Texas. He has a journalism degree from Northwestern, and then he went to law school at Notre Dame. He was an aide and lawyer for Republican Senator John Cornyn, and he's been on Capitol Hill for a very long time. Before he formed this new group called Kline Johnson Group, he was with Podesta. Podesta had just, it crashed and burned recently, but it was one of the most influential and powerful lobby groups on Capitol Hill. They had customers like Boeing, Caesars Entertainment, Berkshire Hathaway, Lockheed Martin, Nestle, Walmart. Yeah, and then Mr. Kline is also, I think he's a pretty famous guy on the Hill. He's a Georgetown University graduate. He was with Roberti Global. They had a lot of big clients too, as well, including Tesla. But when we take a look at this, the company is fairly new. So Kline Johnson signed 6, according to this article, on January 19th, 2018. So Kline Johnson, Izzy and Matt Johnson, have signed their first 6 clients at the new lobbying shop, the Kline Johnson Group. So they were able to sign Burford Capital, Civitas Capital Management, CVS Health, First Data, and the New York State Broadcasters Association, and Oracle. So 5 of the 6 are clients of either the Podesta Group, where Johnson was a principal before the firm's implosion last year. Yeah, that was a pretty surprising fiasco. I don't even, that's a whole video in itself. I'm not going to go there in this video. And then, or they belong to the Roberti Global Group, where Kline was a managing partner before he left to start this new firm. So let's just take a look here. This is a website called opensecrets.org, and it's all public information, but they do a good job at kind of putting it all together. So in 2010, the Podesta Group, who was one of the most powerful on the Hill at that time, I want to just take a look. In 2010, the total lobbying income, just so you can kind of get an idea of what kind of income these groups can do, was 29 million. And then you can see, look at the list of even Bank America and Boeing. Look at the list of people they were representing. So I have to tell you, I think this job would be very fun. Okay, so that just gives you an idea of the far-reaching influence that these lobbyists have. They are getting paid $25,000 a month and 10,000 XRP for their services. I think putting that 10,000 XRP was a great idea. I mean, that does give them a little skin in the game, which will hopefully get them to work a little harder for the benefit of Ripple and Coil and Hardjaka and Polysign. Yeah, okay, let's keep going. Google lifting its controversial crypto ad ban in October. Now, what's so interesting is that, yes, they've decided to end the crypto ad ban beginning in October. However, the new policy update will only allow certain types of ads to run. And by doing this, Google will follow the footsteps of Facebook, which decided to let some crypto-related advertisements back on the platform. But the interesting thing is that the exchanges that will purchase ads will only be in Japan and the United States. I don't know, maybe that's just where they will start. And in this reversal on the original restriction, this was kind of a change back from March when they decided that they weren't going to allow that to happen. They were really trying to protect, I think, consumers from the bad actors that were popping up with ICOs. And they also came down on crypto wallet ads and some trading services as well. So I think as the bad actors get weeded out, this will probably loosen up for other sectors and other countries as well. Okay, so yeah, that's what I have for you today in the way of news. I want to get into a fluff story, and it's about ban in Japan. there is an island that just was deemed a UNESCO heritage site. And here is Japan here. Here's Tokyo. And you come down here. This is the island of Fukuoka. Here's Hiroshima. And in this strait of water here, this back sea on the west side, just in between South Korea and Japan, there is an island that's called Okunoshima. And it is banned to women. Yes. And it's been that way for, gosh, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It is back from ancient times that this island, let me show you what it looks like. Here is the island. It's, gosh, it's not very big. It's only like 4 kilometers wide and basically made up of cliffs. There's almost no flat land at all. But back from ancient times, this island has been sacred, and it is along a major route for travel that took place between Japan, Korea, China, and even the Silk Road. So the island itself is a deity, and it does have a shrine. It does have a priest. I believe the priests go in rotation every 10 days. That Shinto priest will come off, and a new Shinto priest will take his place. They basically guard the island and have daily prayers and rituals, which are kind of secretive, but women have never been allowed and still today are not allowed. So there was a lot of controversy, of course, because when UNESCO decided it was going to be on the heritage list, there were a lot of people who felt that that was a wrong decision. But if you look at it in terms of tradition, I don't know, I can argue both sides, and maybe that's, good or bad, but tradition is tradition, and sometimes there is something sacred even in just holding up traditions. And I am a feminist, so don't get me wrong when I say that, but I do have respect for tradition. So in these overseas exchanges, they have found over 80,000 artifacts on the island, and the artifacts are left in place for the most part. So that's another reason why the island is protected, because these artifacts have been left in their original state. Not everything, but a lot of it has. And they do believe that there's also a lot of sites. I think there's 22 sites that they have found, but there are, of course, other sites that ritual sites with probably more artifacts that haven't even been found yet. Once a year, on May 27th, 200 men are granted permission to visit the island, and they participate in a bathing ritual, which is done naked, called misogi. And they promise that whatever they hear or whatever they see on the island will never be shared. So every morning there is a priest who does a sunrise bathing ritual, and then takes 400 steps up to this shrine and does his morning prayers. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I think some of the artifacts, wow, they've found gold rings and pottery, Persian glass. So there is proof that there was a lot of trade occurring with the Silk Road prior to the Tokugawa shogunate closing the country off in 1601. So let's just take a look at a couple more photographs here. This is the Shinto priest praying up on that shrine that is 400 steps up the mountainside. Here he is doing a very, this is a very familiar sight to me, because when the priests have their purifications, they use this long stick with the paper attached on the end. Yeah. People, even, what's interesting is if you buy a new car, sometimes people will pay the Shinto priest to come and do a purification on the car. So many times I have seen new construction sites being purified by the Shinto priest who visits before construction starts. I've seen that many, many times, not just for houses, but also for commercial buildings too, as well. So this is, it's just very familiar to me. And if you come to Japan, I hope you get to see one of the Shinto purification rituals, because it's interesting. Here we have some of the naked bathers who were able to visit the island on that May 27th, but absolutely no women. Okay, everybody. Yeah, that's all I have for you today. And I hope you have a great weekend. Please take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.